Military Mom Talk Radio. We know behind every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine is the family supporting them. With over 200 episodes in 17 countries, over 5 seasons, with 3 million monthly listeners, we are radio strong.
Hey, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Linda Crater, and we've got such a great show today. Linda, why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest?
I am so excited today. We are going to be talking to Deanne Stidham, co-founder with her husband Mark of LuLaRoe, a wonderful clothing company that is just empowering women everywhere and giving opportunity lots to our military moms and families.
Well, and Linda, I love this. I love this company. I love this concept. I love their clothes. They're really squishy and yummy. And, you know, for me, I live in Southern California, so I'm wearing one right now that's really light. And when it's 110 out, it's really hard to get dressed and look professional. And I got to tell you, the name of her company is so cool because it is so family first. I'm going to go right over to Deanne. Deanne, how did you name LuLaRoe? It's such a great story.
Well, first off, thank you for inviting me. I'm so honored, and I feel like a huge privilege of being here. But we started the name trying to rack our brains, trying to figure out what would be clever, what would, it's actually kind of to some people, it's a little hard to say. But once I explain the concept or the name of how it was chosen, then people remember, oh, it's not LuLaRoe, it's LuLaRoe. And it's named after our first 3 granddaughters, Lucy, Lola, and Monroe, LuLaRoe.
Love it.
Yeah, it's just really fun.
It is fun, and it really epitomizes what I understand your company standing for, especially because you were a single mom, Deanne, and that's somebody near and dear to my heart. We have a lot of single moms in the military. We have a lot of single mom listeners. It's not easy, but when I look at you, I think I can do anything.
Well, thank you. What an honor that is for you to say, because you know what? I don't know. I think when put in a situation, most of us, we think we can't, we feel we can't. And then when put out there, it's like, no. It's like the mommy bear kicks in and says, oh my gosh, I want to protect something. I want to take care of something, especially our babies, our children. And you know what? An opportunity of a lifetime for women to take charge of what they want. And you know what? It can either hold us back by all the complex and fears, or we can jump into it and say, you know what? We've got this.
One of the strengths that you have is that you've constantly empowered women. As a motivator in this space, what is your biggest challenge? What was your biggest challenge as a single mom?
Fear, not feeling like I'm good enough, not thinking that I have the education. I didn't finish college. I only went to college about a year and a half. And then, of course, I fell in love and got my MRS degree. And seriously, I graduated from high school early. So I kind of started everything really early. I got married at 19, which I tell people don't do it. Then I got pregnant 2 months later. And I'm like, don't do that either. And yet, you know what? I knew what I wanted and I went for it. I also was not prepared to be becoming the single mom of 7 children in a time in my life where I thought I had brought all this money. We had taken all of our money. We invested in adopting 3 babies. And when I headed into divorce, we literally had nothing. I mean, I had no backup, nothing to lean on. And you hear over and over, get a college education. And I thought, well, oops, missed that boat. Seriously, it took a lot of self-talk. And I will tell you, me, myself, and I, we didn't have very good conversations. What do? We self-talk ourselves in a spiral downhill. And I got to myself to that downhill of all the things, I had to go to counseling, went on meds, and which is awesome. But I knew those weren't longevity for me. And I thought, you know what? The meds aren't going to get me out of bed. They help, but it's that self-talk of get up and get going. I love to think that it's those precious little human beings that Heavenly Father gave to us, especially those of us that have been given the blessing of motherhood, that get us, reminding us that it's time to get up and get going. And so that helps a lot. Well, I share this crazy funny story, but please don't think that I'm nuts, because I will tell you, I feel
every single mom is nuts.
I feel for you, but seriously, I remember going to counseling and the counselor said, okay, Deanne, now 1 out of 5 days that you feel like crying and falling apart, you only get to have 1 in front of the kids. Right. The other days, you gotta go do it far away. Sometimes my favorite place was in the bathroom. I mean, it was like, it was
yeah.
small, where sorry to say, but it was a small area where I could shut the door and I would turn off the light and I would sit there in the dark and I'd sit there and bawl and cry and cry and bawl. And I will tell you, I really did. I'm like you. I felt like God was going, stop crying. I'm here to help. Don't you understand? And I'm like, but you're not. So you're, right. And me and him I like to think that I have a really great relationship with God, and, because he created me. So that's how I feel. And so he and I would have conversations and I would say, Kay, hello, where are you? And sure enough, as I turn around, I'd have to look at the blessings that I did have instead of the things I didn't have. So I get you, I get that feeling of, oh my gosh, am I going to get up and get going? And seriously, I will tell you the thing that is coming to my mind right now that I really learned from my mom, who raised 11 children. And she would often say, we had 8 daughters and 3 brothers, 8 sisters and three brothers. And she would say over and over, when you're down, get up and go find somebody to serve. Go do something for someone else. And guess, you know what? Sometimes we just don't have it in us. We absolutely are spent. And you're like, you want me to go serve again? I feel like I'm serving in every capacity. And, on Mother's Day, I went live on my Instagram and I challenged women, text 20 other women and tell them how awesome they are. And you know what? I got such huge feedback from that. It was a real quick, thing that came to my mind. And seriously, it worked. And people were calling me, sending me messages saying, Deanne, thank you for challenging me, because nobody did anything for me for Mother's Day. I was crying. I felt sorry for myself. What have I done? Why am I not worthy of, all that stupid Hallmark holiday? And that's how I look at it.
We agree with you.
And it's like, go do something for someone else. And seriously, it does make your life better.
Do you see now what you gained by this experience as opposed to what at the time it felt like you lost?
Well, I really have I saw somewhere a saying that said, and I posted, I wish I had it exact verbatim. So excuse me if you find it somewhere and you go, Deanne said it wrong. But this is how my brain thinks it. And it said, someday we'll look back upon the things that we thought mattered the most, that we didn't think we could get through. And we're going to look back upon those in the present and go, I needed to learn this. I needed to learn this. And, I needed this experience so that I can see now how I'm so much stronger, how much more I can hold my head up and I can be myself. And I will tell you, one other thing that I learned from this counselor, I was going through a lot of counseling way back when my mother passed away. I was 24 when she passed away. And it was a tragic, hard thing for me to watch her die. And here I was, this young mother, 2 babies, and I thought, what am I going to do? And they didn't have, I'm 59 years old. Back in the early days, they did not have medicines and things to help you with panic disorder and dizzy spells and migraine headaches and all this other stuff. And do you know what he said to me? Best advice ever. He said, Deanne, I want you to practice smiling 4 times a day when they get in the car. It wasn't in the house. It was in the car. They're driving around, the kids, the yelling in the background, and the fighting, and you're reaching back and snapping your fingers. And you're like, oh my gosh, thank Kevin my hands aren't very long, because I probably more frustrated.
We've been there.
But you know what? It was amazing. He said it's like that commercial, or that the truck that drives around, that SWISS, the Swiss dairy, and it says, try saying Swiss without smiling. And what do? You smile. And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to practice saying Swiss 4 times in the mirror. I'd look in the rearview mirror and I'd look at myself. And he said, you can't help but think of the world better when you smile. And he said, it's not going to be the answer to everything, but it is going to help. And I remember my mother would teach us kids, go get a pencil and put it in your mouth. And across, your mouth. And, you'd say, what? And she'd say, when you put a pencil in your mouth, it makes you smile and you won't be so grumpy. And then you'll think what you can do to not, how kids are. They roll around the ground and I'm so bored. I have nothing to do. And you're like, listen, I can barely take care of me now. And so it's a good lesson. I teach my kids all the time, go put a pencil in your mouth. Obviously you need to start thinking about all the things that you're grateful for. So
You know what I love is, though, you had dreams, you had hopes. And I think one of the things that we often forget about is that dreaming counts. You don't have to always achieve that dream, but if you don't have dreams, you're a very sad creature.
Well, they say, a goal is only a wish until you write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And, back in the old days, original days of, they had some direct selling companies. And I know that Amway was the I would say the kind of the originators of really putting it out there, because they started back in the, I would say the 60s, late 60s and 70s. And I love how they would say, put a dream board together. And like you said, maybe we don't all achieve them, but gosh darn, if we don't have something to look forward to or think about, otherwise we won't want to get out of bed. And seriously, it could be as simple as, taking the kids to go to McDonald's on a couple of days. That was my big thing, is like, okay, if I can just make enough money to take the kids and reward them for their jobs well done, because that's kind of what my mom and dad did. They kind of rewarded us. Hey, get your jobs done. Let's do the job chart. And, it was like little bits of an opportunity for us to teach our children how to dream too. And I would say to the kids, when mom's working, it's a blessing. Don't think of it as a curse. And many times we as moms, we feel this horrible guilt as our kids are hanging off of us, as they're crying and sobbing. And you're like, listen, I got to make money. And they don't get it. They don't comprehend it. But you know what? When you get your kids involved, when you get yourself involved and you start dreaming, I will tell you, it makes all the difference in the world. For me as a mother, if I knew what my kids wanted, and again, I'm not a big believer in giving your kids everything. I don't. Oh, no. But, I had a couple of sons that really were awesome, and the older ones especially, in helping me take care of all the other kids. Hey, listen, can you, make sure the kids get ready to bed and do their homework while mom runs out to do these home parties that I was doing. And I will tell you, I sat down with Kenny, my oldest, who was probably 14 at the time, really big into snowboarding. And he came to me and I said, so what would it take for you to help mom, to continue helping mom? And he said, Mom, there's a big snowboarding sale coming, and I really want this snowboard. And you guys, it was $400, and it might as well have been $40,000, because I didn't have it. And we sat down, and I said, okay, you know what, I'm gonna really work hard together. You and I are going to do this together. And I need you to do your responsibility, be home on time, reply, because, we didn't have cell phones for our kids back then. They had a curfew and they needed to do that. But you know what? Dreaming with my kids, I will tell you, I'll never forget when I came in that one after that fifth week or so of working, and I walked in and slammed down 4 $100 bills and said, okay, son, you can go get your snowboard.
Wow.
And to me, it was a reward because you guys, I would lay in bed as a single mom, so exhausted and tired. And Kenny said, Mom, don't make me do jobs. I'm 17. I'm dating a cute girl. I want to be out with my friends. He said, I tell you what, give me something that I can do when I walk in the door. And I said, listen, I will give anything if you'll just mop the kitchen floor for Mom. Okay, if you'll just quickly just mop it. And you guys, that kid knew that he was going to get that because I made a bargain with him. I knew I was working hard, and he was working hard too. And he said, Mom, I got this. And sometimes at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, I could hear him kind of slamming the mop. It slammed the mop against the wall because, they're not that age where they're going to take a whole lot of careful pride. But you know what?
He did
it did what I asked him to do. Instead of me yelling at him, challenging him, getting angry because I was angry and frustrated, feeling like I wasn't getting it all done. We became partners. Right. Our kids became our partners.
It seems to me that as we look back, both Sandra and I lost our mothers around the same age that you lost yours, and you have young children, and you have to make a living, and it's the single parenthood, etc. And it's so difficult. But I think one of the things that I love about the culture of your company is that it's amazing how many people it takes to make a person exactly who they become. And so as you add on these little bits of other people who give to you and you give to them, and as you said, go serve others as well, I can't help but think about the wives on the home front who are waiting while their soldier is deployed, or the woman veteran who is deployed and coming home to perhaps an uncertain future. And so you really just take a look at the little bits of life that you go through and you gain from it.
I love what you're saying. And I will tell you, I have so many amazing women that are just what you're saying and describing in those categories and in those positions of waiting. And I believe that we're here on this earth to belong to a community. Mm-hmm. And whether it's church, whether it's clubs, whatever. And I keep saying over and over, the best thing about LuLaRoe and along with other businesses out there is that it creates a sense of community and people that have a reason to gather. And I love to say that women gather, men hunt. And so we need to find our tribe. And they use that over and over. Tribe is my vibe, they'll make comments, but I will tell you, knowing that what I went through, I think that it refined us. It does refine us. Mm-hmm. And don't overlook, those of you that are listening, the things that you're going through, because you're being prepared for bigger and better and greater things. And you don't know, because like you said, you're in the trenches and you're feeling like there's no tomorrow. I don't know how to look out. And seriously, like you said, reaching out 4 hours at a time. And I will tell you, the greatest thing that we can do is to take ours at the end of the day and write down all the things we did do. Mm-hmm. Because seriously, we do not give ourselves enough credit for all the things, whether it's loading the dishwasher. I talked to a friend. I stood in the neighborhood and visited with an elderly neighbor. Things that we do and excel in or accept and reward all the good that we do. And I will tell you, the problem is we only see the bad. That's and right. We're women. And so gather with other people. And I will never forget being, like I said, as I quote my mom, because she was a person that just grew up in the 20s. She was born in 1913. So her teenage years was the roaring 20s. And she would oftentimes say, I don't know why I have 11 children. I have no business having 11 children. And yet she was phenomenal and right in the core and height of their business. My mom and dad had a catering business in Pasadena, California. My dad had a heart attack. Mm-hmm. And my mother literally had to take over everything. I remember him being in bed a lot with an oxygen mask and trying to heal back in the 60s, and she was scared to death and knew, and we watched her serve my dad and serve us and serve her business and serve her community. And I saw her fall apart, just like what we can do. It's okay for us to fall apart. But I will tell you, think of the good things that we do accomplish every day and give yourself kudos, because we're pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Don't you think women are sometimes really very poor at owning their wins? Just like you said, we move on so quickly, life goes so fast, that sometimes when you take the time to actually write them down at nighttime. I keep a gratitude journal, for example, because all those little things really add up over time. And if I think the day maybe has been a failure, it hasn't when I take a look back and think of those little wins. And so if you add win upon win upon win, the blessings just multiply.
I so agree. And I will tell you, that's how you learn and accomplish your dreams. Mm-hmm. I just think that is so important. And my role as the owner of this crazy business, that who would have thought 5 years ago when I cut a skirt out on my dining room table, that it would end where it is today. And, we're currently figuring out ways that we can help women feel better about themselves. And in the very beginning, and even now, women come to me and they just cry with tears of gratitude. And they say, Deanne, you've changed my life. Your clothing have changed my life. And at first I thought, how can clothes change your life? It's just clothes, a shirt and a skirt. And
it's more than that.
I'll never forget when this story just comes to my mind. Here's a woman who was battling severe depression. I mean, severe, lost her parent, had lost her spouse, really bad. In fact, was wearing her husband's clothes because it was that sense of comfort and having him close by. And here she was, this widow, and trying to figure out what to do. And she called me one day. She had like 3 little children, which, any age is just so overwhelming when you're trying to do it by yourself, whether you're divorced, single mom, going through what you're going through. But she called me one day and she said, Deanne, you don't understand. I don't ever, I don't know what to do. I just figured I was, I would get involved in LuLaRoe, and I didn't realize the transformation that was happening in me. And she said, I put on a maxi skirt. It was really only when we had maxi skirts. And it has a yoga waistband so that you can expand different times of the month. And yourself. And anyway, and so she said she had run to Walmart in her maxi skirt. And she said, I hurried and took your advice. I put on a little makeup. The only way I knew how was maybe a little mascara, a little lipstick. And she said, I ran to Walmart before my doctor appointment. I needed to get my 3-month supply of meds. And she said, in Walmart, people would compliment me and they'd say, my gosh, you look beautiful today. And she's like, wow. She kept looking around, are they talking to someone else? And then it was just me. They were complimenting me on my little skirt. And she said, again, I had kind of transformed into not wearing my men's clothing and taking, I'll just put on this skirt because it feels more comfortable. She walks into her doctor's office, sits down, waiting for the doctor to come in. The doctor goes over with her little rolling stool and looks up at this girl, this woman, and starts to tear up. The doctor tears up and she's like, what's wrong? And kind of looks around. Is just something wrong? I mean, and the doctor just started crying and said, I've never seen you look this beautiful before. Mm. And she said it was not her makeup. It was not her clothes. It was her countenance. Mm-hmm. And because she smiled right back to the doctor and she said, I had this aura about me, because it is true. When you start feeling better about yourself, you have this aura, this like I can give.
This glow.
Yes. And so I thought, you know what? If that's what clothes will do, then we're going to continue doing it. And we cut everything from extra small to triple XL. We want everybody to come, enjoy, have a fun atmosphere, and love one another. And seriously, it's fun.
Well, I'm just going to give you just some little props here, because the yoga pants that I wear and my spin pants are really not that comfortable. They look nice, but the pants that I wore, the LuLaRoe spin pants last night that I had on, they were I call it they're huggy pants. They hugged my legs. They were nice and soft. As women, we touch our babies, we touch our kids. When we touch a fabric, and it felt so yummy. I was the weirdo in spin class, touching my calves, touching my thighs, but they were just so soft. And
I know. Didn't you want to walk around and say, touch my legs?
I did. I made all the girls touch my legs. I'm like, go, feel this. It feels so soft, because when a material really works for you, and you feel it is like a hug. And especially, with single moms, we don't get a lot of hugs. We get it from our kids, but there's a lot of times where a sweater, or there was this coat you sent that was so squishy, and it's going to be my reading jacket. When it's cool at night, I'm going to wrap in that. And that's the best thing you can ask for from a piece of clothing, to feel like you got a hug.
Well, we've started designing jeans, and they're coming out sometime mid-summer. I don't have a date, so I would. Anyway, but prior to that, we came out with a jean jacket, and that's kind of my fear. I gathered 5 jean jackets over the year, and seriously, we've kind of kept that same concept. So I'm glad to know that you love our clothes, and we'll just continue helping women feel better about themselves.
I love that. Deanne, your clothing is not just comfortable, it's attractive. And I really honestly believe it's part of self-care. Everybody thinks that self-care has to be a bubble bath. No, it can be putting on clothes that make you feel good, make you look better. And when you feel like you look better, you present that aura, as you put it, to everyone. And I think that just makes the world a better, brighter place. So thank you for sharing all of this with us today, because I think that people need to know that there are women in business these days who have walked the steps that they have walked, and they know where they're going, but they may not know today. But if they hear about someone else who's walked before them, it's inspiring and it's motivational. And I'm going to add this one thing before we go, is that you've constantly gone on the premise that I believe in you. So when you believe in someone before they can even believe in themselves, you've given them a gift.
I just love that. Thank you. I really do believe that. And seriously, sometimes we can't do it by ourselves. We've got to get ourselves surrounded by people that are uplifting and positive, that can help us to become our better selves. And I will tell you, this is the time. And so many of you that are listening, I want to give you a little bit of a pep talk. Guess what? You're not alone. Don't sit in your house alone. Sit and get yourselves out. Go to the park. Go to Chick-fil-A. Go to Starbucks. You know why I say that? Because a lot of people just go there and hang out and go there and strike up a conversation. Start with a compliment. People will love a compliment, and they'll come back to you and give a compliment or have a conversation. And if not, they just needed to be left alone, and it's okay. There's a saying, some will, some won't. So what? Next, go out and share the love with others. And I will tell you, we've got this amazing opportunity. And right now, we've come out with a new program. I just wanted you to know real quick, we've come out with a brand new program that we're launching today, and it's called American Dreams. And I want you all to know that we are pushing that we live in America. We need to wear more red, white, and blue. We wear football jerseys. We wear, you know what I mean, our favorite basketball team, our favorite supporting of, any sports out there. But you know what? We need to be better and bigger at sporting our country and the things that we have. And you know what? You can have whatever you want. You can have the American dream. You can build a business. You can love one another. And we've chosen just this month to start and letting everyone know that red, white, and blue is all about us, that exudes freedom and confidence. And I will tell you, please, please, please enjoy. I wish I could reach out and let you know that there are so many retailers out there that would love to let you have something part of this new collection. So it's awesome.
And Deanne, let's make sure our listeners know where to find out more information. So they would go to LuLaRoe.com. That's LuLaRoe.com. And again, thank you for being with us today. Are you a dynamic woman? Sandra Beck and Linda Crater host Dynamic Women Talk Radio, bringing lively weekly shows in a roundtable format with influential guests from around the globe. This amazing tribe of diverse and accomplished women share their candid views on topics such as reputation, handling rejection, loyalty, what is sexy, overthinking, blended families, and much more. Discussions are joyful, with freedom to address topics from various perspectives with candor, respect, and no judgment. These are the conversations you wish you could have with all your family and friends. Dynamic women have lived their lives boldly with unexpected and sometimes undesired turns in the road of life. Yet detours and bumps bring opportunity, personal growth, more authenticity, and a fresh outlook. Join our welcoming tribe of dynamic women each Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, also on iTunes, and more information at dynamicwomentalkradio.com. Celebrating vibrant, charismatic women everywhere.
Welcome back. This is Sandra Beck and Linda Crater. Linda, why don't you tell us about our second guest today?
We are talking with an inspiring woman veteran today, and we're going to be talking about change, mostly her response to active duty transition to civilian life, and how we all know that curveballs can come at us at any time. So this segment is about managing change and succeeding at post-deployment purpose. Sandra, why don't you introduce our guest and we'll get started.
I'm so excited to introduce our Bronze Star. Her name is Rachel Norton. She's a staff sergeant. For how many years, Rachel?
I was in the military for 7 years.
7 years. So she's got her lucky 7. And she's currently now with LuLaRoe, a clothing company. So can you tell me a little bit about your military experience and how did that lead you to be part of this great clothing company?
Absolutely. So I joined the military in 2010, and I was in the medical field. I was a LPN, and it provided me a lot of opportunity and wonderful experience to work with soldiers, retirees, veterans, and it was how I got to deploy to Afghanistan as part of a 10-man forward surgical team. And all of those pieces, all of those things led me to know that I wanted to pursue nursing outside of the Army. And so I knew that it wasn't a career for me, that I was going to make a transition out at some point. I didn't know exactly how that was all going to happen because the Army sometimes dictates a lot of those things for you. But it kind of came to a head when I got back from Afghanistan. I had been married for 5 years. When I got home, my marriage was struggling and it became a unsafe environment for me to be in. And I had to move out of my house. I was faced with the reality that once my divorce was finalized, that I would lose a huge amount of income and the home that I owned, the dog that I wanted to have, because at the time I was in E5, I knew I'd lose my BAH, all those things that start ticking away in your mind. It was just so daunting and scary. And you think about when you're in a very pivotal moment in your life, you don't want to make any rash decisions, but true to form in myself, I did. I decided to join LuLaRoe. I had needed clothing to go to my sister's wedding, and I had seen someone post on Instagram a picture of them wearing a dress from LuLaRoe. I went to a retailer here locally whose husband is also in the military. I bought clothes and I was like, I like this stuff. Cool. And she talked to me a little bit about what she did in selling and that it was providing income for her family. And I said, yes, this is what I need. I can do this. As long as I can pay my mortgage, cover even just a little bit, then I'll be okay. And, however I needed to do that with LuLaRoe, I was going to make it happen. LuLaRoe ended up being the ends to those means for me and keeping me in my home and keeping my dog with me, because she was the reason I got up in the morning every day for a month, because I didn't want to. I really struggled coming back from deployment, and I did not expect myself to do that. I really thought I was going to plow through that and move on to the next thing and be okay. And then it hits you and you think you have all the training and all the coping mechanisms, and then you're like, wow, I'm still affected by this. It's unreal how that feels. I had a whole new support system, though. I had my military friends, my coworkers. Most of them, almost all of my coworkers, my unit was male. I only had one female in my unit, and she was an officer. And so that, that's not going to be my best friend. I had this huge network of women that I met through LuLaRoe, all different backgrounds, all different life stories. A lot of them were military, so they understood the lingo when I would talk to them, and they got that. They understood what I was talking about. I had this basically sorority sisterhood that just created, kind of materialized overnight. And it wasn't just about selling clothes. It was about being friends with each other and, loving on each other and supporting each other. And I don't know where I would be, honestly, without that during that time, because there were days when I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. And I would, say that to these women, and they'd give me support and encouragement, and then they would give me a kick in the butt if I needed it too.
Rachel, as you go through changes from deployment to coming back to America is hard enough. Mm-hmm. Then you add divorce in there. You have that concern over independence, but then you find it back again, and then you build this camaraderie. Those are a lot of changes, taking you from military life to civilian life all happening at once. Is it any wonder to you looking back now why these changes were so monumental and why you were affected?
Sometimes you get so narrow-minded because you have a plan or a goal or something that you want to accomplish. And we get stuck in a comparison trap, I find often, well, she's done this and she's done this amazing thing and they're doing this. But then I look back and my sister told me, she was like, I'm just so proud of you. And when you take a step back and look at the things you've done, it is, overwhelming, because people that struggle with just one of those things, with transitioning out of the military. That's hard for anyone. But then dealing with a divorce and dealing with financial issues, and then starting school as soon as I get out of the military, full time again, having a business, all those things are a lot. But sometimes you get focused in the, just one foot after the other, kind of keeping forward and leaning forward in the foxhole kind of approach. And you lose the scope of all the things that you've done, and you compare yourself to others. I know I kind of compare myself to people I grew up with, from my hometown and things that they're doing, or even, the fancy vacations they're going on. And then I realized that it's not about that, because I've done things that they haven't done. I am able to overcome things because of my experience and my circumstances and the friends, people I've learned to support on, that's a hard thing to do, to give some of that over to others, to let them help you. I find that sometimes the military be very closed off in the fact that you have to do all these things by yourself. If you want to have all these actions happen for you, if you want your re-enlistment packet to go through, you've got to be the one to follow up. No one else is going to take care of that for you. Right. You can't rely on other people to do that. You have got to be the one to follow through on everything. And so it creates this mentality of everything you have to do. It has to be in your head. You're the one who has to do it all. Sometimes it's okay to give other things up to other people, or to say, hey, I need help. Help me with this.
Well, and that's that duality that I always struggled with, because, you're part of a team, you're part of a unit, and everybody functions as one, but yet it's like you're responsible and you're conditioned not to ask for help. So I think it's really a tough mindset. Like, I get why it exists, but then you come into civilian, you come into a company, it's so different. It takes a while to get your mind around going from one to the other, and that it's okay. Like, I had to have permission. It was okay to ask for help, permission to almost make a mistake. And now that was okay, and we could just fix it. Like, it was just so different.
Yes, absolutely. And I found too that even when I was going through the process of transitioning out, and I had all of these questions about the VA, because I don't understand. I still to this day do not understand how it works, and I'm so confused. And I was trying to reach out to people who had been through it, that I knew, that I'd served with. And it was really hard to track them down and get them to maybe return calls. And I understand they've moved on to a different part of their life. And it was actually through LuLaRoe, a retailer that I know. Her husband had gotten out maybe about 6 months prior to me. And he took the time to sit down and walk me through his process, because he did it at the exact same VA that I was using. And said, go talk to this person. And I don't know where I would have been if he hadn't have helped me and taken the time to sit down and walk through that process with me, because I was so lost. And, even going through the education program that they provide, you just walk in there and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to talk to. It was so overwhelming. And I hate that feeling of just not knowing where point A and point B and point C are, and just wandering around aimlessly.
So Rachel, would you say that you reclaimed your joy through LuLaRoe?
Absolutely. I can honestly say that there wasn't anything I was looking forward to when I got back from deployment. I knew that I was going to be going through some hard times ahead. And the military for me has always been a job, and I love working with patients, and that I have a heart for that, but it doesn't provide that joy that you get from doing something fun. and exciting and new. And I didn't have that. I didn't have anything to look forward to like that. And LuLaRoe gave me this opportunity to travel. I had never been to Disneyland before. And since I've joined LuLaRoe, I've been to Disneyland, I think 3 or 4 times. And I have ridden all the rides. And I'm doing that with my friends that I've met through LuLaRoe. And we're able to do that and, you know, take a little bit of time off and sneak off and have those moments and have that friendship. And it's not about the clothes. It's just about enjoying each other. And I hadn't had that in years.
Well, and that community, you know, the community that can just walk up and look at your face and go, like, what's going on? Or, you know, you can just sit sometimes in silence. Like, you don't even have to say anything. And that's the best part. And to come together over something we enjoy, which is clothes. I mean, who doesn't? You know, who doesn't enjoy, like, you know, when new stuff comes out? I mean, you guys just like totally all over the new fabrics and the new prints and the new color families. I mean, it's fun.
It is so much fun. And I've always had a creative side. I love to craft and crochet and do things like that. But the Army, you know, took a lot of that time and things away from me. And with LuLaRoe, I got to, you know, explore a new creative side of myself, enjoy some of the femininity that I didn't get to have in my day-to-day life. And that didn't mean I had to wear dresses all the time, but I could wear, you know, just a shirt and love it and feel pretty and feel nice and have confidence in myself that I was beautiful outside of my uniform. And which can also help a lot when you're trying to date again in your 30s. It's not an easy thing.
No, it's not easy in your 40s either. I can tell you that. But,
No.
you know, Rachel, thank you so much for sharing today. Thank you so much. You know, what I took away from what you said was how you were able to integrate all these wonderful parts about you. You're this brave warrior. You're this brave soldier. And yet you're this beautiful woman. I wish you guys could see her. She's got a smile that like lights up the room. She's surrounded by all these different clothes on hangers. Like, how fun. I was like, while you were talking, I was like mentally flipping through the racks going, oh, I like that one. I like that one. And I'm so thankful, as Linda is as well, that you could share your story with us today. And we are so proud of you. We thank you for your service. And we also thank you for exploring your creative side with LuLaRoe.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to share. There's so many people out there who just need to know that there's someone there that understands, and you can do all the things. You just have to ask and reach out for help, and it's possible.
Are you a family caregiver in the military community? Join us on veterancaregiver.com. In the military and veteran community, there are 5.5 million caregivers of our nation's injured, ill, and wounded. Whether your family member served in World War II or in the most recent Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts, there are unique needs of military and veteran caregivers. Navigating any medical system takes skill and help in obtaining good care. Veteran Caregiver has access to a rich network of advocates and organizations to assist you. Find excellent resources, short informative videos, an active Facebook community, and empathetic support. Veteran Caregiver supports those from every service branch and those who served in any conflict. Need information on sandwich caregiving, EFMP, or aging issues? VeteranCaregiver.com provides information and community to those managing busy lives with compassionate care. That's VeteranCaregiver.com. Support for those who care.
Long, stressful deployments, continuous training, and time apart. It's the reality for dedicated Special Forces soldiers and their supportive families. Seth Wheeler and his wife Lindsay understand those challenges all too well, and it's the reason they created Operation Artemis, a nonprofit charity. Now retired and out of harm's way, Seth and Lindsay fill the needs they see in the Special Forces community. Operation Artemis provides outdoor experiences to help wounded soldiers heal together and strengthen Special Forces families, widows, and children with a true support system. You are not alone in the Special Forces veteran community. An opportunity is shared with Hunt, Fish, Heal, Explore as the organization's motto. Operation Artemis will make sure the soldier, their families, and those who have lost a loved one are both supported and not forgotten. To learn more about Operation Artemis, their upcoming events, how to get involved, or to donate, check out their website, operationartemis.org. That's Operation Artemis, ARTEMIS.org. Hey, we're back with Seth and Lindsay Wheeler. They own OperationArtemis.org. They are also part of the LuLaRoe family, and Seth has served. So I'm interested to find a little bit more about you, Seth. Tell us about your service.
It's been a life endeavor. I started in a military family, and then I left for college and went to the Virginia Military Institute in Lexington, Virginia, and graduated there in 2002. And then I entered the service and spent 14 plus years in special operation, the last of which we've been here in Fort Lewis, Washington, just south of Seattle. I was with the 1st Special Forces Group on a 12-man Special Forces team and was the lead tactics instructor and level 1 sniper on the detachment.
Lindsay, when one serves, we all serve. We know that. You had some challenges while your husband was away.
Absolutely. I was so proud to be his wife and to support him from home. But I had been a television reporter before we got married. We got married as he was going through selection in special forces. We both had these big, crazy careers, and we all know as military wives how crazy that is and how taxing it can be to be mom and dad. And that reality hit me when he was getting ready to deploy the first time. So I stepped back from my career to be a mom, which is incredible. But wow, it's sort of like Groundhog Day for those military moms, right? I was home. It was just me. I was kind of singing the cartoon theme songs to myself. I lost my cool card for sure. But I was so blessed to be able to stay home because of his job and because he was serving, and we were so proud to support him. But I missed something that was for me. I missed kind of having a purpose or something to show at the end of the day. When you're a television reporter, you do the 6 o'clock news, you have something to show for it, and you get up the next day and it's all new. Being a mom at home, it was the same every single day. And there was so much worry, I think, that consumed me as a special forces wife, being home with little kids. I was so worried that maybe he wouldn't be coming home. So when LuLaRoe came into my life, it was this incredible opportunity to not only have something that was for me, something that I could have to show for at the end of the day, to help with our family finances, to contribute a little bit, but to also keep my mind occupied, which I think is so important. I could sit home and be terrified that someone was going to knock on my door, or I could be productive. And LuLaRoe was such a blessing on that front for me and my life and for my kids and my family.
So, Lindsay, it allowed you to focus on something other than worry and concern, and children even. It gave you an outside interest. How did that change your outlook while Brandon was away?
It was huge. Our first deployment, you put kids to bed at night and it's 8 o'clock. And I think that was the hardest time for me, was nighttime. You're busy during the day with kids. Kids keep you busy. Mm-hmm. There's always something to do. But 8 o'clock was hard for me because the kids would go to bed and it was quiet. And that's the time that you would spend with your husband. You would, reconnect. You would talk about the day. And it was just me. We had no family nearby. We were a new military family to our area and we didn't live on base. It's very isolating. So here I was living by myself with 2 little kids, and I couldn't just pick up the phone and call my husband. I was by myself. So for me to have something, put kids to bed and have something that I could focus on and felt like I was doing something for our family or something for someone else, if I was serving someone else, it felt like such a better use of my time than sitting there worrying, because that didn't serve my husband. It didn't serve me, and it sure didn't serve my kids to be just full of worry and anxiety all the time. It gave me this incredible outlet to do something for somebody else. And it was so incredible and such a blessing for sure. When I started LuLaRoe, I wanted to contribute maybe $1,000 to our family finances. I thought, wouldn't that be incredible? I could go to Costco and buy the things. And when the new tires needed to be done, we could pay for those instead of putting those on a credit card and waiting for our tax return, right? That sort of living paycheck to paycheck. I thought, man, we could have a little bit extra. And then when Seth was gone on that deployment, sorry, he goes by Seth as well. Seth is his middle name. But when he was gone on that deployment, I saw this as an opportunity. I could sit home and worry for 6 months and be just a mess for 6 months, or I could have something really incredible to show for those 6 months. And what would serve my family better? And so I really buckled down while he was gone. And I took that opportunity of, my husband's not here to go on dates, so I'm going to work, right? My husband's not here to hang out with in the evening. I'm going to work. I'm going to do something with that time. And what I did in that 6 months when he got home, instead of just being so worried and obviously so relieved when he got home, but I had something to show for it. And I built this customer base and this business, and I'd shared the opportunity with amazing women who are out there who wanted something just like I did. And when he got home, I didn't just have a hobby, I had a business that I was so proud of. And it opened up the opportunity for us to see, wow, what could we do with this? I think it took away any barriers that were out there to see what was possible with this business, that the sky really was the limit with LuLaRoe, that we could serve more and do more. And within LuLaRoe, Mark and Dan are such incredible people, and they've taught me so much about generosity and about giving to others. And a term within LuLaRoe that we use a lot is see a need and fill it. And as a Special Forces family, we saw a need. We saw a need for a charity that was targeted towards Special Forces families. And when Seth came home and we realized that this was a business that could not only bless our family, but bless others, we realized that he could retire and that we could start a charity to help others. And that's really what Operation Artemis is all about.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's we invite people to come visit it. It's Operation Artemis, ARTEMIS.org. We've been raising funds there, and we've got some very generous benefactors that are supporting our charity at this moment. And we've partnered up with some, very outdoor-centric, companies, Liberty Bottle Works, Montana Canvas, and different things. And we're going to be hosting our first event this July, and it's, we're super excited about it. The charity is aimed at helping wounded Green Berets like myself who, need some healing time, some outdoor time to get away from the hospital and all of the distractions that are going on with work and their healing process and the medical and whatnot, and also to support the Gold Star families. That's one of the biggest obstacles that we've seen, Lindsay and myself. As a Special Forces operator, being overseas and doing continuous combat missions night after night, it's tragic when one of our brethren gets wounded, and even worse, becomes a KIA. And as terrible as it is, we have our morning process and we have our plainside services, and try to call back home and make sure that things are being taken care of. But we have to go right back into the planning cycle and right back into the mission. But for these Gold Star families, these widows, and these children that have lost their father, that wound stays open for a long time, even deeper and harsher than it is for us as teammates. Those individuals, their father's truck is still in the driveway, or Christmas presents that never got opened, or pictures on the wall, or people everywhere they go in their small communities asking them how they're doing. And what we wanted to do is, we can never replace father or husband, but what we can do is we can provide a moment in time where they can be with other like situationed individuals and come together and have some healing process, spend some time outdoors.
Well, and what I love about all of this is, 20 years of working with military families, you guys have found a way to not only mutually support each other, but there had to be something, when you're over serving, your wife is taking care of business, like she's got something to do. There's so many wives that are at home and you wonder what they're doing. They make choices that might not be best for their family, might not be best for their body or their mind. So to have something, that Lindsay could not only work or keep herself occupied and kind of keep the fear at bay, but also to grow, flourish, and blossom. Mm-hmm. Like, would you say it made your marriage stronger?
Absolutely. Yeah. We consider it a team effort. I was on a 12-man Special Forces team, and you've got individuals that across the spectrum who, graduated with degrees from West Point and the Virginia Military Institute and all over, down to, guys that were just in high school 4 years ago, that have been in the Army going on multiple deployments. And guys will work as a team to every end, whether it's building a perimeter or going on mission or doing the planning process. And it's the same thing with our marriage. We're a team. It doesn't matter if it's, balancing the checkbook or loading the back of the car for LuLaRoe, mm-hmm. or unloading the dishwasher. Everything that we do, we approach it as a team effort, because we know that we're going to be better for it, and that's ultimately going to be what helps us achieve our goals and helps us succeed. So yeah, her doing this business and building it up and becoming an entrepreneur and owning her own business, definitely made her stronger as an individual, and it made us stronger as a team.
And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have been able to do what I've been able to do in my business with his support. A lot of times, I built my business when he was gone. So I did do it by myself in the beginning, but it was with his support, even just in the background. And so that was so important. And now that he's home more, we've taken it to another level. That's why we can do a charity, and that's why we can give and do more is because he's here. But I know when he was deployed, and I know military wives can relate to this, I felt like so many people say, oh, you don't work. Oh, honey, we work, right? It is a full-time job to be a military wife and stay home, because you juggle everything. But I knew that my job was to, above everything else, try to take something off of his plate. So if I could make good choices at home, and he had confidence that everything at home was taken care of, that was one less thing he had to worry about overseas. I didn't want him to worry about us for a second. I wanted him to know that I had everything taken care of. I missed him like crazy, but I was holding down the fort so that he could take care of what needed to get done over there. He could take care of himself and his team, and he could get home to us. And that was our ultimate goal.
Lindsay, the family also serves.
My kids love that their dad can get them off the bus every day, right? They love that he's home and they're getting to spend precious time with him. And they know that that's because of LuLaRoe, and they're so grateful for that. Our kids help us with live sales. They are a part. Like Seth said, LuLaRoe, this is a team for us, but it's a family business. My kids break down cardboard boxes and they jump on my live sales and they help ladies. And the ladies that shop with us are amazing customers. They know our kids. They know our family. And I think that is something that is so special about LuLaRoe, is that women love clothes and they love to shop, but they love supporting our family. They love knowing that where their money is going towards. They love the clothes, but it's that amazing cherry on top that they know that it's supporting a family and a military family. And they love supporting our charity. $1 from every single piece that we sell every single day goes to Operation Artemis to help Special Forces families. They love that they're shopping with a cause, and they know our family. And I love that we can share that with them. And our kids really love being a part of it.
We love hearing the passion and enthusiasm of a successful job well done, both downrange and at home. And everyone does serve, and together you make a difference. And your story is really resonating with our audience, I can tell you. And thank you for sharing all of this today. It's very important that people realize you can come back from deployments, you can come back from the loneliness and the isolation and still be a team. Is there anything else you'd like to add? And please give your website one more time.
Sure. It's operationartemis.org, ARTEMIS.org. We're just so grateful for this incredible opportunity. Military wives, it's hard to find employment a lot of times because you're moving around so much. We love this incredible opportunity. We know that this can benefit so many more women, that you can take it with you when you leave. You can connect with people. It can give you that outlet. You can provide for your family, and it can give you that peace of mind of knowing that you're serving somebody else, even when you can't control what's going on, maybe with your husband and deployments and being gone. It was a piece that I felt like I could control and do some good. And if ladies are out there looking for it, I know LuLaRoe was a huge answer to prayers in my life. And I know that it can be a blessing to so many more people. We're grateful for LuLaRoe. We use the hashtag because of LuLaRoe all the time. Because of LuLaRoe, my husband is home. Because of LuLaRoe, we can start this charity. Because of LuLaRoe, our marriage has never been stronger. And we want that for others.
And we knew it was a perfect fit. We were doing it 4 years ago when we were doing deployments and running a business and raising a 6 and a 4-year-old and all the things. And we just knew that it was a perfect fit. It was, if we were to move from Fort Lewis, Washington back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, we knew that we could take the business with us and it was going to succeed anywhere we went. So yeah, we're super fortunate. We're very blessed and grateful for the opportunity that's been provided to us. And we thank you guys for having us on today.
Thanks for spending time with us today on Military Mom Talk Radio.